are here on the new microphone. Hello, everybody. Ooh, I was too low there. Welcome to episode 171. Alright, guys, we are here again. A little more upbeat today, even though I decided to cut myself for some stupid reason with a knife. Or not with a knife, with a fruit slicer. And so I'm in a weird mood, but having a good eye day, good health day overall. So I kind of just, I wouldn't say I put a huge damper in my day, but it just kind of, it made me smile because it's like, oh, okay. Don't, it humbles you. Don't get too excited. But I do have another guest here who reached out, and I told him let's just get it done and, become friends, and we'll support each other as always, because like I said, that to me is very important. I don't just do this for shits and giggles and just to help people. It's also it is to help people, but also help the person on the show too, because any way we can look out for each other, it's what a community is for. So and he seems like a good guy who has a unique story. It's different than, for the most part, most of the people have been on the show and kind of taken. I think most people, pretty much everybody's been on, they kind of take their pain and turn it into something positive. But in this case, he's kind of, he had some pain, but he was inspired by someone else, and he used that to help himself out and now to help others. So, buddy, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So my name's Roman Fisher, and so I do acting, modeling, mainly film and voiceover acting, and fitness modeling when it comes to the modeling side of things. Outside of that, I do bodybuilding and also high performance coaching. Of course, mainly in the fitness realm, but I also help people transform not just their bodies, but their minds and their overall energy and, outlook on life as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and I told you yesterday, that there's a lot of parallels in our story. Not necessarily that I'm a model or a bodybuilder or anything, but kind of where you started is kind of where I'm working at now, as far as working on myself and lifting and trying to change myself, my actual physical image, trying to better myself. So, I guess we should start with your family and kind of how we'll go through the story and how you became who you are today.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. So what got me initially to where I am from the get-go was, so from the very start, I was actually always the skinny kid. I want to definitely highlight that I was not really in shape for a lot of my life in the beginning. And I didn't really care what, I put in my body and what I ate, what I drank, which is crazy to say that now, being, such, a huge fitness influencer now. Sure. And then going from that to where I'm at now, it's definitely day and night, to say the least. But what caused me to undergo this transformation was not just seeing my, brother lift weights when I was 15, which that inspired me to want to change my own physique and better myself. But then seeing my grandpa just, pass away due to poor health and not really taking care of his body from the inside and the outside. Like, he wouldn't really ever put on sunscreen. He wouldn't eat healthy, and all those things contributed to his, those things definitely contributed to his cancer.
Right.
And that really took a toll on me, of course, emotionally, seeing anyone in your family or anyone you know and love, just in general,
were you
pass
close with
on
him?
or pass away. Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was hard, because I saw him pretty often with family. We would see him at least, once if not twice a year, and we would get together during the holidays every year, at least once a year. So seeing him pass on or pass away, that was rough, and when that happened, though, while that was rough to deal with, of course, it also inspired me to want to change my life and my eating habits. And then go from not really caring what I put in my body to caring about every single thing that I put in my body.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure.
then that also, yeah, inspired me to take up weightlifting, cardio, and just having a better sleep schedule and just better nutrition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm sure a lot of his mindset was based on, how he was brought up and his generation. Because, like, my grandma, she's 91, and I always use her as an example when I go to this route because she's very stubborn. Now, she's not necessarily, she's very thin, so she's not really unhealthy necessarily, but she's very stuck in her ways, and, back in my day and all that, and she refuses to do certain things. Luckily, but she never really went down the road of drugs or alcohol, so she's always been relatively pretty clean in that area. She had a heart attack because of a artery blockage from too much, crap that she was eating, like Burger King and things. But she's not a big person, and like I said, she's healthier than most people I know. Let alone someone for
Yeah,
her age. Because again, 91, there's not many of those. And yeah, and but you can tell when you're around people that are a lot older. A lot of them are very, very stuck in their ways, and someone who's a few generations behind them, it's highly unlikely they're going to listen to you. And it's sometimes it's frustrating because, like, with her, I love her dearly. But again, because she's so stuck in her ways, it's hard to teach her anything. It's hard to really
yeah,
show her because she is stuck in her ways. She doesn't want to listen, and I'm big on, like, one of the things I've been doing to try to, like, work on myself. I say I want to clean, like, my metaphorical bubble. Like, I want to clean. I want to get rid of all the crappy people in my life. I want to try to better myself in a lot of ways, and sometimes some of that negativity, some people you can't just kick out of your life, no matter how. And she's not necessarily like your grandfather. He probably wasn't necessarily bad for your life, but it is negative to be around him to some degree because of his energy, and just because his lackluster attitude to fixing himself. Because you love him, you want him to be around, but at the same time, it's like I love you, but come on, can you do something? So you kind of make exemptions
yeah,
for certain people because they mean so much to you, but it also is like, I don't want to say hypocritical, but it's a real conundrum because it's like, man, I want good for me, and sometimes it's hard for me to see someone else deteriorate because of their attitude. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you said it. You said a lot right there. I mean that is definitely how I felt. I mean, it was tough, just being around that. You know, he would, and I'll admit, like, he had some moments in his past life, like when he was like really, really, really young. He used to, be in the military, so he used to be disciplined with like some of what he would do.
Sure.
But yeah, as he grew up, that's when it all changed. And when I was around him, that it was really sad. Yeah, just seeing him how he handled his body. Because I like to think, that each of our bodies are, I would say, a temple, and we should definitely care for them and treat them as best as we can.
Yeah, and who knows, because he did something so brave and physical and tough, that when he came out of that, it's like, oh, this is life. Other than this, is just pretty easy peasy for the most part. I mean, unless you get, obviously cancer, but up until that point, he might have just had a pretty easy go at life after that, and he just kind of got lackluster and complacent and just said, I'm just gonna chill.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and then his body went with it, and his health, of course, and and that's why I talk so much about the mind, because the mind really is the start of all of it. And if your mind just says, screw it, like, it's not like your body's just going to start working without it. So,
right.
yeah.
Exactly. Mindset's everything. Ultimately, I mean, just like in working out too. Obviously, you can transform your body, and that's a physical aspect to it. There's a huge physical aspect to it, but it's definitely initially mental, and I would still say it's overall mental, the majority of it, for sure, because you have to have that mindset to even want to change or transform anyway with your
Yeah,
body.
for sure. And I'm sure, like, it's sad sometimes that you need to motivate yourself through someone else's pain. Now, I've been through a lot myself, but I interview so many people, especially with disabilities. Like, I think I told you, I'm legally blind. But, like, I know people, I have friends that are blind, and I have friends with so many other problems, and it does make me appreciate what I do have, and it allows me to correct certain things, certain thoughts that I had, or certain lifestyles that other people have, and it's like, wow, I'm glad I didn't go down that route. And of course, there's a lot of things that are within our gene pool that's passed down to us, and not all of it's good. And for me, I'm always one of the ones in my family that tries to break the chain on the negative stuff. So I want
Yep.
to keep the good qualities that my family has, including my grandmother, who has many, but I also want to get rid of the bad ones.
Yeah,
Because I also want my own
definitely.
individuality at the same time. I don't want to be these people. I just want to keep the good qualities that they instilled in me. But sometimes it is a little. It's like, ah, man, like I have to like look at your pain for me to like understand it and just like do the opposite. Because especially when it's someone you love.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is definitely how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I relate to you a lot. Like I said, I've put on a little muscle, but I've always been the smaller, skinny kid. Having a disability automatically get people stares and all that, but always being a smaller person, people are less likely to take you serious. Like it doesn't matter how deep your voice is. Not that I want to scare people, but it's like, especially when you're a man, a lot of times people are less likely to take you serious when you're not that big. If you're 6'4" and you're 300 pounds, everyone's gonna go, oh, okay, this guy commands seriousness. But I mean, not all of them, because some people are socially awkward and things. But for the most part, when you're big like that, it gives you a little more confidence. And when you're skinnier, like no one's like, well, I want to pick him for sports, even though I was decent at sports. But being skinny it was just kind of always my thing. And there's a lot of people in my family that are in good shape, and it's something that like I'm trying to become so much more disciplined by, because it means more to me to try to get into shape and try to prove people wrong, and prove my own self doubt wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
So how hard was it for you to like finally take those steps, and like what was it that like really got you into fitness? Besides, the things you already mentioned, like was there certain exercise, was there something that you did gravitate towards? You were like, okay, I kind of dig the treadmill, or whatever. Was there something that just made you really like, and besides the ultimate goal of becoming bigger, was there something else that kind of inspired you?
Yeah. Other than the goal of like going from skinny to really muscular and strong, what really inspired me to want to get into fitness, uh, especially to you, was just, I would say, other than some of the ab workouts, because I was skinny, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like, to be even more specific, I was more skinny fat. Like I wasn't like obviously fat, but I was skinny overall, but I had a little fat in the abdominal area. Nothing like too bad, but
Okay.
just enough where you couldn't really see my abs, basically.
Okay.
So my goal was to actually define my abs. And so you could say it was an obsession. It was a good one, but it was an obsession to try to develop or uncover, at least a 4 to a 6 pack for my abs, starting with more of a 2 pack, because of course these things take time. You can't just go from having no abs visible to just a 6 pack overnight. But going from where I was skinny fat and just trying to reveal those abs, that's what really also got me heavily into fitness and trying to, tone up and get more cut, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that, just like doing these sit ups, crunches, planks to an extent. And then after that, I started weightlifting. And then the weightlifting, that really got me addicted. I just love the feeling of actually getting sore after my workouts and getting that pump in, especially with the bicep curls and the chest press. I liked a lot.
Okay. Yeah, so you and I are different in that way, because I actually have a 6 pack, but I don't deserve one. So like I'm
Yeah,
more skinny, whereas you're, like I said, you kind of skinny fat. You actually had a little pudge to you, and you were trying to get those abs to kind of stick out. My abs stick out. It's just I just didn't like. I was just becoming too thin, and I wasn't enjoying, because I ran into a spot, because I'm big on dealing with my mental health, and I was I'm trying to figure out what's the ultimate contributor to my brain fog.
right.
And one of the things I kind of was narrowing it down to certain things, and one of the things I came down to was how I was eating. So I started eating better, but because I'm not a big guy, I lost 20 pounds very quickly. And I know some people out there are going to be super jealous because I lost 20 pounds in like a month, and it wasn't good. I didn't like it. Maybe a month and a half.
Right.
And I was so depressed because I was like, my God, I went from like 172 to like 152. And I was so depressed because I was like, I don't want to lose my weight. I don't need to lose weight. I need to eat better for me. But what I was eating just wasn't enough.
Right.
And now I'm trying to mix more like protein and some things. And again, I'm still like, I'm trying to eat some pizza and some other, because I'm never cutting all that stuff out. Maybe that's wrong, but like, I still want to eat. But it's like, I'm also mixing, I'm eating more fruit and protein shakes and things. And I'm trying to, and I put on like 8 to 9 to 10 more pounds back already.
Nice.
And I'm working out more.
Very good.
I'm using like resistant bands and like kettlebells, and like the elliptical and treadmill and things like that. I'm trying to get them. I'm still like a real rookie, like a real virgin to the whole, like really trying to work out. And, you know, it's nice to know someone who kind of knows what they're talking about, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it can be tricky, especially when you're like first starting out. I mean, for a lot of people, but at least for some people, you could say it's definitely like learning a new language. At least for some people, if not most people, when you first start.
Yeah. Do you have certain like eating tips for like gaining muscle? And obviously, like I said, I know
Yeah.
protein is a big thing, but like there's certain things, because like I said, I don't want to give up. Like, I've cut back tremendously on sugar. I don't drink a lot of sodas. I have fried food once in a while. But I mean, like I said, I have no problem eating some pizza and some things. But, you know, I'm relatively, I'm way better than I used to be, for sure. And again, like I said, because I'm skinny, I'm not a big guy. So I don't put on weight very easily. But it's like, for me, one of the things I really struggle with is trying to eat and eat pretty good, and not just eat healthy like salads, because that I'm not going to gain weight off of that. So yeah, long-winded question, but yeah, do you have any like tips for like eating, like for someone who is kind of in your position?
Yeah, definitely. So anyone that wants to gain muscle or put on size and strength, my best advice is to first just realize it's going to take time. It's, a process. It's not an overnight quick fix or success by any means, like most things.
For sure.
So first, just know and understand that just from the get-go going in. After that, my best tips and advice is to just figure out how many calories you do burn in a given day at rest. So basically the calories you would burn if you were like in a coma, essentially. So first, just realize that that's your BMR, or basic metabolic rate. After that, figure out how active you are from day to day with your, job, if you're working. And then also, if you're active in the gym already, how active you are with that too, like how many days you're working out. And based off of that, you can figure out if you're lightly, moderately active, or very active, or sedentary, if you're sedentary.
Okay.
And after you figure out your activity level with your, current BMR, or the calories you burn at rest, that will eventually add up to your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. That is how many calories you burn off, not just at rest, but also in addition to your activity level together combined.
Sure.
So when you figure that out, you want to be at least about 500 calories above that. So that's basically 500 calories above maintenance to actually gain about a pound of muscle, or not a pound of muscle, but a pound of weight each week. And out of that pound of weight, a little bit of that will be muscle. So you could gain up to 2 pounds of muscle in a month if you are, more new to fitness. If you're not as new to fitness, you could really only likely gain. Now, genetics can play a part in it, but you could probably only gain about a pound a month.
A month, right?
If you're more experienced, because your body won't really grow as easily when it gets more conditioned to it.
Gotcha. Now, this may be a stupid question, but how do you determine how much you're burning off minus the exercise, just in general, because like I said, exercise, I know I have a good barometer of how much I'm working out, how physical I am on a weekly basis, or on a daily basis, I should say. But yeah, how do I determine how much like food that I need? Because that's where I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, um, it depends like on your age, your gender, your height, and your weight.
Okay.
And so how active you are throughout the day will obviously add up to that with your overall calories that you burn. Now, if you're not very active, with a job or with working out, then you just got to do some math and like put in your age, your height, your weight, and figure out your basic metabolic rate, how many calories that you burn at rest.
Okay, yeah, that's where I gotta figure out how to do that. Cause yeah, like I said, I'm pretty active. Even my other job, it's can be physical at times, and I'm usually up and moving around and moving things that are pretty heavy. They're on wheels, but a lot of the time these bins can get up to 200 and some pounds. I could never lift it over my head, but they're big, and dead weight they're even more. But I do a lot of moving, lifting, and things. So and then the gym twice a week, and then 2 workouts a week at home for about an hour.
Definitely.
So yeah, there's definitely some physicalness, and I'm definitely getting workouts through the week. I would say 5 out of 7 days of the week, maybe six, because I'll probably do one on the weekend. So it's just I don't know how much I'm burning off, and I'm trying to keep up with it. But yeah, I mean, I guess like I said, I have gained a couple pounds here and there within the last like 2-3 weeks. I can tell I've gained probably about 5-6 pounds, maybe even 7. And I know not all that's muscle, but it's an improvement.
Yeah,
because I lost so much from just trying to eat better.
definitely.
Now,
Outside of finding your BMR or basic metabolic rate, and then how much you have to eat, which obviously you want out of your TDE, not just your BMR, but your overall total daily energy expenditure, you want to be about 500 calories above that each day.
Right.
So that's one way to gain more muscle. Another way is to have creatine hydrochloride, which is a supplement that you don't have to take for muscle growth, but it definitely helps boost that muscle growth and even recovery from the gym.
Okay, I'm sorry. Say the whole thing again. Creatine. What's the whole thing?
Hydrochloride. And it's best to take it in a powder form too for best absorption.
Gotcha. How does it taste?
So it depends. You could get the unflavored, version, which doesn't really taste like much of anything, or to some people it might not taste the best if you can actually taste it. Yeah. But there's not much of a taste to it. I would say it's more bland if you could put a label on how it tastes. Now, there are like lemon lime flavors, which are really good. And that's the one I take. I take the lemon lime version.
Okay. Is there a brand out there that's good? Because I know, like with certain supplements and things, like brands really matter because it's more potent than others. Some are just so like watered down.
Right. Yeah, and some are just not pure at all and pretty contaminated. But the one I take is very pure, all natural, and very effective, and the absorption rate is really great. But the brand name is Caged Muscle.
Caged Muscle, okay. If I forget, I'll ask you to text it to me. But I think
I can and it's with a K too.
Okay, of course, of course.
It's Caged Muscle.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I take. Other than the supplement creatine hydrochloride, I also recommend, of course, having a high protein diet. Now, I'm not, a guy that really advocates diets, but if there's like a diet, I recommend it's a high protein diet, because having enough protein is not just essential to maintaining your lean muscle mass, but also, building upon it.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking into. Can you just give a few examples of some things that have high protein?
Yeah, definitely. So anything from, lean chicken breast, or you could just go with the chicken tenderloins, which are even leaner. But either one should be fine because they're pretty low in fat and have a lot of protein. So the protein to fat ratio is really good on that. Also, some other, options, you could still go with higher fat protein if you want, if it fits your macros, which that's a whole nother thing. You have to add up your macros and calories to fit your, overall fitness goal of gaining muscle too. So you have to figure out that. But if you want higher fat protein content, then you could go with, steaks like ribeye steak. You could go with, I would say if you're going to go with a burger, I would go with the grass fed, or even with the steaks, I would go with the grass fed. But if you're going to go with burgers specifically, grass fed, I would say grass fed ground round burgers are your better bet. The ground beef, if you like that, that's good in moderation, I guess, but I wouldn't really recommend having really any red meat, too often. I would say about 3 days a week for red meat at the most.
Gotcha. Isn't fish good too? Like some fishes?
Yes. Outside of, meat and, chicken, I would also suggest tuna, canned tuna, even if you just want to take something on the go, just having a can of tuna is great too. Tuna, let's see, salmon, tilapia, cod. Those are all really high protein sources for fish.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, those are good examples because, that's kind of stuff. I love a good steak and burgers, and I try to, it's hard to find grass-fed in some places, but, and again, like I said, I like a good chicken breast and even chicken salads, and it's just, like I said, you eat too much salad, you're not going to gain anything. It's just lettuce.
Right, yeah. You got to make sure you get those calories in, yeah.
Yeah, if you're trying to lose weight, that's fine, but, if you're not, it's pointless.
Counterproductive for sure.
Now I wanted to ask you, like, when you were like a skinnier guy, were you very insecure about like your weight and how you looked, or did you not really care?
So it's funny you asked. So honestly, at the very start of things, I didn't really care too much. But then as people started making fun of me in school and stuff like that, it really made me self-conscious. And then I was like, I don't want to live this live this role anymore. So I wanted to turn over a new leaf. I wanted to better myself. Also, too, I did some research on a lot of what the foods I was eating would do to your body. And this happened especially after my grandpa passed away, but seeing all the unhealthy, content that they pump into our foods. And then after seeing that, like, firsthand for myself, that really motivated me to, care about what I put in my body, and also just how I look too, because seeing how that would, affect not just my inner self, but my outer self, and how much of it I was eating. It just it wasn't a good thing at all.
Sure. I asked you that because I didn't know if you had like some insecurities about it, because I wanted to know if you ever foresaw yourself like being a model, like from where you first were.
Definitely. So when I first started out, I definitely was not model material, as they say. Right. And so after so much of that, people, poking fun at me in school, and then also too, at some point after all that too, I also looked in the mirror. I wasn't really happy with how I looked. I did want to be at least a little stronger, a little more muscular, and then also a bit leaner, at least in my stomach. And then, I thought to myself, and I got self-conscious after so many people that did make fun of me in school. I got more self-conscious, and I started thinking that I was, while I was skinny and I knew I was skinny, I thought part of me was fat. And technically I was skinny fat, as they say, but right. I really started thinking I was even more fat than I was, which that got me in a, whole different, road in my mind. And my mindset was not good at all. Right. I wasn't really feeling good. I didn't think good about myself and my overall physique. So that was a rough spot to be in mentally for me. And then after just analyzing all that, I realized I was not secure at all in my mindset. But that's why I got into fitness. Definitely.
Nah, good for you, man. That's awesome. Because there's so many people that are trying. I mean, I go to the gym, and it's I love when I see some older people there, or I see some overweight people there. Like you see all the big muscle head guys, and it's like, okay, that's fine. They live here. But I love
Yeah.
when I see someone who's on a treadmill who's overweight and they're sweating their ass off and they're just trying. And
Oh yeah.
probably half of these people are gonna give up on them, but there are a few that are gonna stick with it and they keep trying and keep trying. And there's a few that'll turn out like you. And I just you and again, I hope I'm one of them because I'm trying because I have so many chronic problems, and I'm always working on myself, and I'm trying not to use any excuses. I'm trying to just
Right.
be more disciplined, not just in the fitness part of my life. It's just in general, like because I'm a huge procrastinator. Like when I'm a good worker, but when I'm at home, I don't want to do shit. So it's like doing the dishes, like my take care of my cat. So it's like if he needs food, I jump right on it. But it's because I'm dedicated and love him. But I'm not dedicated and I don't love doing dishes. But like when I see them, I like try to push it to the end of the week. And then Sunday comes around and I know I got to get up the next morning for work, and I'm like, "Oh god, it's like 8:30 and I need to take a shower, and now I got to do my dishes." And I'm like forced to do it at that point. But I'm trying to be more disciplined. Like as soon as something like clicks in my head, like dishes, I just want to do them now,
Yeah.
because that's part of discipline. It's not because in order to get disciplined in the bigger things like working out that are more strenuous and take more of a time to see results, doing dishes like cleaning a plate is very quick. So
Right.
there's results, but you got to try to be disciplined in every aspect, not just one or two things. Like you really do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's totally correct. I mean, yeah, it's just one step at a time, but there's a lot of things that we don't want to always do, but sometimes we just gotta, and one of my mentors actually always told me this. He would say, eat the frog. So just try to eat the frog, and yeah, just keep pressing on and doing the things you probably don't want to do, first, and then going to the other things that you kind of want to do, and then the things you want to do the most last.
yeah. The one thing, so like again, like I said, having a disability has always been a challenge because some days I have bad days, and those are the days I really don't want to do anything. So I kind of just go, okay, fine, I can chalk them up to what they are. But like when I'm in those bad days, my headspace tends to be a little cloudy as well. So I'm like, when you have some good days, like today, minus the cut, I will take advantage of those days, be more productive. And so like I'm trying to force myself to do more during those times. Like I'm trying to leave myself with no excuses whatsoever. Just do it, like because you don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Just do it. And that's kind of what I've been doing here the last week here, because and it's helping to some degree. I'm not going to sit here and say it's life changing, but it's something, and that's where I'm trying to get to, so I'm not lackadaisical in everything I do, because sometimes it does trickle into the things even you like the most, and it starts to show in other parts of your life that you didn't expect it ever to.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and you said your grandfather, he died, you said, of cancer.
Yes.
Is that something that you're cognizant of now as you're getting older? Like, do you constantly, not only are you taking care of yourself, but are you getting checked? And because cancer is a big deal, obviously.
Yes, it definitely is. Yeah, I try to, at least get a physical at least every 6 months to a year,
Yeah, good for
in
you.
that range. So I try to make sure like nothing, internally is wrong with me at all. Not that I'm pretty confident that nothing would be, but you just never know, how life can get. So just doing that just to be better safe than sorry type thing. And then of course just continuing my workouts, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, and staying consistent with it. Just staying consistent and trying to get enough sleep at night and having a consistent set sleep schedule as well. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Now this might be a weird question, but did you ever succumb to COVID?
Yeah, that is something that sadly I did end up with at some point. And let me totally remember when it was. So it was actually It was last year. It was last summer. I actually caught it one time. Luckily, only. Luckily, it was no more. But that one time was nuts. Let me just say, because when I got that, I didn't know right away, but I think after about a good several hours, maybe a day at the most, and then I started feeling the effects like pretty good. I lost my, sense of taste, smell, and my energy was just gone. Like I didn't want to get off the couch. Like for the first time I had no like energy at all. It was nuts. But after, quarantining and several days of dealing with that and just drinking a bunch of orange juice and, continuing my healthy lifestyle still, I felt better. I will say this, and to give some people inspiration, during my COVID quarantine, I actually did still weight lift. Obviously not around, anyone, but
Right.
I did it in my own little quarantine area, and I still did my weightlifting and still, ate healthy and kicked that, COVID's ass.
Yeah. Well, good. It's also good to sweat it out. So I'm sure that
Oh
helped.
yeah,
I asked you that just
most
because,
definitely.
they say how it affects people who are healthy. It doesn't mean you don't have any effects and it doesn't, suck. But it seems like healthy people, like especially like the top prime athletes, like they just it just runs right through them like it's nothing because it's like they're in impeccable shape. And for someone like you who's in great shape, like I figured you would bounce back pretty quickly. But you obviously had some severe symptoms that were effective, but probably nowhere near fatal. You just were in a place of just agony for a little while.
Right. Oh yeah. But yeah, luckily I did get over it within the, I'd say about 4 to 5 days. For sure by a week I was totally clear, but I think within the 4 to 5 days, I started feeling better already. Like I started having that, I couldn't really taste or smell, but I could actually have energy again. And then I'd say by about the 6th or 7th day, everything was back to normal. So that was cool. Like the recovery time was, it seemed like a while at the beginning, but in hindsight, it really wasn't that long. So it was a pretty good recovery, pretty speedy recovery. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm over it to never get it again.
That's always one of the greatest feelings, and I use it. My example is more of with my vision or any parts of my health. Like when something gets bad and you're having those bad days, when something comes back fully, and in my case, it's never fully for the average person, but for me, it's so relieving and it boosts my confidence up. And so, like, I'm sure for you to just be so ill, sometimes you're so lost in that translation that you're just and maybe it's only 3-4 days, but those 3-4 days tend to go on forever. And it's like, God, will I ever get better? And then you do. It's like, oh, like all of a sudden everything is just, you feel like it's just like life is back, and you're like, all right, you're pumped and you want to do things. It's very motivating at that time because sometimes you get so stuck in your own head. And you're
Yes.
just miserable, and you're just like, God, you'll just get me out of this. Oh, how do I get out of this situation? And then you realize, like, the storm goes away, the clouds, the sun comes out, and you're like, ooh, all right, we're back.
Oh, yeah.
So what has your motivation to kind of get into like the podcast world and wanted to get your voice out there? Like, what besides, obviously, telling your story and your grandfather's story, but like, what is there a certain message that you want to get across? You're trying to help people in certain ways?
Yeah. Other than just sharing my story, like my personal story, it's also, yeah, sharing, my story of helping people out, just transform their minds, their bodies, have more health and wellness, more strength, muscle, become more shredded or just become more lean. Even if you don't want to get shredded, just to become more, lean and just healthier and have just more energy.
For sure. Yeah, and you're a great example of it. Do you ever take anybody under your wing and just, be their trainer and try to help them get to where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. There's several clients that I've helped out and transform.
That's cool. Do you have anything, like, do you have a website or anything? where people can find you?
Definitely, yeah. So my website, where you want to see, or my website, if you want to see any of my client, before and afters and testimonial videos of their transformation and just, where they started and where they're at now, all you got to do is go to romanfisherofficial.com.
Awesome. Now, do you have any like on your site? Do you have any pictures of like you when you were skinny to where you are now?
I don't actually on there have any skinny pics of me, but I was actually debating putting that up there, and I probably will.
You
Now, I
should.
do have one where I'm more bulky. I wasn't like fat in the photo, but more bulky to more shredded
Yeah.
and cut up.
I think you should because you got all those commercials with these diet pills and all these things, and you'll see like a side by side of someone huge and someone skinny, but like you're actually like a real living like testimony to what exercise can do and being healthy. And I mean,
Definitely.
who cares what you used to look like? You look like a beautiful fella now. So like, who gives a shit what you could look awful? Doesn't matter. It's like that was so 10 years ago or however long ago. Like you could, it's one thing if it was the revert, like if it's the opposite and that's how you look now. Okay, I can see why you don't want to post it, but like, not to saying that you're insecure about it, but I'm just saying like, I mean, I think it's good for you, especially good for your business, good for your image, like just show how far you've come because you've obviously came so far, and obviously, I think your grandfather, and I'm sure a lot of people are proud of you. So I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
it's good to
Thanks,
show.
man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you should show that because I think that's your story in a nutshell right there. Like how far. I mean, because there's a lot of people that look like how you used to look, and they don't think they could ever turn into what you look like now. And the fact that it's possible, because again, there's so much filtered bullshit out in the world, just all these programs and diets and exercise things, and you're just like, all right, like they'll come out with something ridiculous, and you're like, yeah, you can get abs like this in 6 weeks. It's like, no, you cannot. But people,
Exactly.
but again, you're a guy, and again, obviously you give them the real of what it is. You're not gonna tell them like you can get this, but you can. It's just not as quick as you want, but you have to be disciplined and patient and consistent. And so, yeah, I think that I would, honestly be good for you, honestly.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I always like towards the end, I always like to like let the guests like do you give some sort of, I guess, testimonial. Like, do you have any kind of advice for like the young version of Roman who is just struggling with whatever your identity, your body shape, and just to try to keep them going and get them on the right path?
Yeah, definitely. If I could give anything to my, past self, past Roman or young Roman,
There you
I
go.
would definitely say that it's nothing more than, it's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And, it's funny, I use that analogy with fitness, but it's literally not something that you can just get to right away. It's definitely not overnight. Like I've said earlier on here, it's something you have to continuously work at day in and day out. And sometimes for some people, you might have to work at it with your blood, sweat, and tears and just give it all that you got, especially if you're new to fitness, specifically. It's not something that you're going to see results right away. And just knowing that, and also just believing in yourself more than anybody could or would believe in you. And even if no one does believe in you, you have to still believe in yourself anyway, and know that you can be the, transformation that you want to be and become. You just have to put the work in. You have to stay patient, but just be the hardest worker in the room. And against all odds, just go all out and go all in.
Yeah, and yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you said the marathon, not a sprint, because it's such a cliche and it's such a typical thing that people say, but it just gets overused, and a lot of people don't mean it. It's like when people say YOLO, like you only live once. It's like people say
Right.
that kind of shit, but most people don't really know what it means or really care, the tone of it or whatever. But like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, like you gotta, to show real discipline and patience, you have to know that it's not gonna happen tomorrow. Because so many people, that's the problem with the gym and working out, is like you think, like if we all saw results in the first week, oh my God, everybody be in the gym. Like there wouldn't be a person that wouldn't be there. Everybody like, oh my god, I can put on muscle, I can lose or gain muscle or lose 5 pounds in a week. Oh, this is great. Just seeing results. But it's like, it's not how it's gonna happen. You gotta be persistent. I'll be honest. I'm trying to like it. I still don't, but I'm seeing like very tiny results. But that's enough. It's the carrot they're dangling in front of me. It's enough for me to go, okay, let me see if I can grab that carrot. And I'm becoming more patient with it because I realize it's not going to happen overnight. It's just sometimes you get really, because I've been through so much, sometimes it's like when something doesn't happen soon, you just you get down and you tend to just kind of, screw today. I don't feel like working out, but you got to stay with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's 100% right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. You're a good dude, and I guess I hope we can keep in touch. I'll definitely ask you for advice sometimes on this stuff because, like I said, I'm in the midst of making real changes in my physical appearance. So I really appreciate your story and your honesty. And I'm sorry for what happened to your grandfather, but obviously you're a huge part of his image is in you, and you're taking the good parts and turning into something great. So I obviously wish you nothing but the best in what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you very much, man. It means a lot. Yeah, and I'll definitely be there. Yeah, any help you need, just feel free to reach out, and we can see what I can do for you for sure.
Yeah, man. Like I said, just keep in touch. I guess I'd love to. It's always nice to have another friend out there. So if you ever need anything,
Oh yeah,
someone to talk to, hey, I'm out there. So just text me anytime.
yeah, we'll do.
All right, brother. You take care of yourself. All right.
All right, you as well.
All right, man. See ya.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. That was a little different of an episode. I enjoyed that. I know. Maybe it's because I'm insecure. I feel like I make everything about myself. It's just I'm the person he's talking to, so it's hard not to like. God damn this motorcycle! Go away! Go away! Get. But I feel like I'm always like me, and I'm not trying to, but like because we don't know each other, I have to use me as an example. Maybe you don't notice it, maybe you don't care. I'm just throwing it out there. It bugs me. But yeah, I thought that was different because it was we can go back and forth, and I realize our connection and just what things are similar in our story. So there's that. As I said off the top of the episode, I cut the top of my thumb off. Yes, ow, with a bullshit. I wish I knew the name of it. A bullshit accessory for the kitchen to cut oranges and fruit. It sucked. It didn't cut the orange, but it sliced me pretty good. No, I do not need stitches, but I have to put this little thing on my thumb and wrap it up tight, and so my thumb is it's all kind of sore. It's not good. I bled really badly. But I'm an idiot. I was really hard on myself this morning because I was so frustrated because I know like it looks like, oh man, the dumb blind kid cut himself, and it wasn't that. I was impatient. I was trying to get shit done, and I was trying to use this thing to its best ability, and it sucked. God, it bugs me to my core because I hate making dumb mistakes like that when I could have prevented it. I could have avoided it entirely, and I just screwed up and I clipped myself. So wasn't the first time. Hopefully it'll be the last time, but yeah. But yeah, again, guys, I hope you're having a good day out there and enjoy yourself. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little more upbeat and, as I like to say, chipper. And my eyes are really doing my good eyes really good today. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that, and I hope your health is going well, or hopefully you're going more on the upside soon. I hope so, because it sucks. It can really suck and take away all the enjoyments in life. So I'm gonna try to see if Bullet will purr into the mic. I don't know if he will. He's kind of conked out, but I'm gonna try to get him to. Bulletto, hey, you wanna purr into the mic, big guy? It's a little bit. You just gonna give him a taste. They only get a taste, huh? Okay. You only get a taste. So sorry about that. He's just like, hey, today they don't deserve it. I think he thinks you've all been bad and you don't appreciate him. So he said, you know what? Just a little bit of a. So that's all you're getting. You got more of a purr out of me than him. So But he's a good boy. Yeah, I love you guys. I hope you're all doing well. And when I say that, I'm just repetitive. I never know how to end these things. I'm very bad at starting and ending, but we're going to end this shit. But yeah, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you next week. Boo to the bye. Oop, too low.